What happens when two characters have the exact same core problem, but approach it from completely opposite directions? Both characters start as outcasts, but their psychological approaches couldn't be more different. Okarun assumes people don't want him around and withdraws. Kinta assumes there's a social formula to crack and chases it relentlessly. One character grows by stopping his assumptions, and the other stays stuck because he won't stop analyzing. What if I told you that understanding the difference between these two characters reveals one of the most important lessons about social anxiety and personal growth? Welcome to Understanding Dandadan. My name is Kepler, and today we are exploring how seeking connection and avoiding it can paradoxically lead to the same result, but with very different paths to recovery. Let's start with Kinta, because he's the more misunderstood character. Most people see him as a typical introverted nerd, but that's completely wrong. Kinta is what I call a logical extrovert, someone who desperately needs social connection, but approaches it like a problem to solve. Kinta doesn't look like an extrovert like Gigi or Ara, but according to the psychologist Carl Jung, extroverts and introverts are defined by where they get their energy. Introverts recover energy in solitude. That doesn't mean he doesn't need any connection. An introvert spends energy interacting with people and recovers energy by being alone, while extroverts are the opposite. They spend energy by being alone and recover energy by interacting with people. That's why I think Kinta is a logical extrovert. Watch his introduction carefully. He walks alone to school singing from the top of his lungs and dancing. It's obvious that he's an over-the-top goofball. But as he gets close to school, we see his voice slowly fade into silence. And although it is supposed to be a funny scene, and Kinta himself supposed to be a comedic relief, this scene gave me a heartache. This is someone who loves to externalize his voice, he loves being himself, but ultimately chooses to muffle his identity and fade into the background. This isn't introversion. An introvert would be fine with solitude. Kinta is clearly suffering from his isolation. He studies Okarun like a research project because he desperately wants what Okarun has: genuine friendship, or even love. He analyzes, plans, and tries to reverse engineer social success. He believes there's a code to crack, and if he just acts cool enough or says the right things, popularity will follow. Okarun, on the other hand, is what we might call an emotional introvert, but not in the way you expect. His problem isn't that he needs less social interaction. His problem is that he's convinced he doesn't deserve any social interaction. Where Kinta studies other people to connect with them, Okarun makes assumptions about what other people think about him and withdraws preemptively. He doesn't even try to crack a social code because he's already decided he'll fail. But here's the crucial difference. Okarun's emotional decision-making, while initially destructive, allows him to form genuine connections once he stops sabotaging himself. His feelings, when redirected positively, become his strength. Kinta's logical approach, while seemingly more rational, keeps him trapped in performative behavior that prevents authentic connection. Kinta's biggest flaw is his external focus. He's constantly studying other people, trying to mimic what works, and searching for the perfect social formula. This creates a vicious cycle. The more he focuses on external validation, the more he loses touch with his authentic self. He knows he's naturally goofy and theatrical, but he suppresses these traits because he thinks they are obstacles to popularity. This is why he becomes invisible. When you are constantly performing a version of yourself that you think others want to see, there is nothing genuinely left for people to connect with. His approach to Okarun is telling. Instead of just befriending him directly, he studies him from a distance. He's so focused on learning the right way to be social that he misses obvious opportunity for genuine connection. Okarun's journey is the complete opposite. His growth comes from shifting his internal dialogue from self-destruction to self-acceptance. Initially, his internal voice is toxic, but as he develops, these thoughts transform into protective instincts and genuine care for others, especially Momo. And the key moment is when he stops assuming he knows what other people think about him. This internal shift allows him to be emotionally present in relationships, instead of being consumed by imagined rejections. His transformation powers are just a metaphor for his internal change. When his inner voice shifts from self-doubt to purpose, external behavior naturally becomes more confident and attractive. Okarun learns to trust his emotions and stop overthinking. Kinta needs to learn to trust his emotions and stop overthinking. The irony is that they need the same solution, but they are approaching from an opposite direction. Based on the psychological patterns we see, Kinta's development will likely follow a specific trajectory. First, he needs to recognize that his performative approach isn't working. The analysis paralysis that keeps him studying others instead of engaging with them is his biggest obstacle. Second, he needs to understand that his weirdness isn't the problem. It's choosing the wrong people to be vulnerable with. His love for dramatic poses and theatrical behavior could be actually charming to the right audience. Third, and more importantly, he needs to stop seeking social formula and start seeking genuine connection. This means being willing to risk rejection by showing his authentic self. Kinta's breakthrough will likely come when he stops analyzing Okarun and starts simply interacting with him. Kinta already has everything he needs for social success. He's passionate, expressive, and genuinely interesting. His only obstacle is his belief that he needs to hide these qualities to be accepted. If Kinta approached Okarun with straightforward honesty, he'll probably be accepted immediately. His prize was hanging right in front of him this whole time. I expect Kinta's development to mirror Okarun's, but in reverse. Where Okarun learned to redirect the internal monologue outward and work on himself, Kinta will learn to redirect the external seeking inward and start seeking for his genuine self. The end result should be the same: authentic confidence based on self-acceptance, rather than external validation. If you identify with Kinta's struggle, you're probably what I call a social seeker. Someone who desperately wants connection but approaches strategically rather than authentically. Here's the warning signs you are in Kinta mode. You find yourself analyzing successful people and trying to copy their behavior. You hold back parts of your personality because you think they are weird or uncool. You approach social situations like puzzles to solve rather than experience to enjoy. You feel like you are performing all the time instead of just being yourself. To recover from this, first, stop analyzing. Notice when you're studying other people instead of engaging with them. The goal is connection, not data collection. Test your assumptions. You might be surprised how many people actually appreciate the authenticity over performance. Try sharing something genuine about yourself and see what happens. Third, use your connections wisely. Instead of trying to appeal to everyone, focus on finding people who appreciate your specific brand of weirdness, quality over quantity. Trying to form connections is impossible without the risk of rejection. You shouldn't fear that. Instead, use every single rejection you get to gather data about what group you belong. And believe me, there's a group for everyone in this world. Now, if you relate more to Okarun's initial approach, watch my video about his transformation, where I dive deep into the social avoidance and how he develops himself. Whether you are a seeker or avoider, the solution is the same: authentic engagement based on genuine care for others. The difference is that seekers need to stop trying so hard, while avoiders need to start trying more. Both need to focus on genuine rather than perfect. The confidence paradox is that the more you chase confidence directly, the more elusive it becomes. And the more you focus on bringing value to other people, the more confident you naturally feel. This is why both characters needed to stop their current approaches and start from a place of genuine curiosity about and care for the other people around them. Kinta and Okarun represent the two sides of the same coin: the human desire for authentic connection and the different ways we sabotage ourselves in pursuing it. One seeks too desperately and one avoids too completely, but both can find their way to genuine relationships by focusing less on themselves and more on the people they want to connect. Let me know in the comments which character you relate more. That's it for this video. Until next time.